Self-love and self-comfort. What do those two words mean to you? You might think that they mean the same thing. And yes, certain aspects from both words and both meanings and definitions, they cross over. But when we talk directly and focus directly on what is behind the words, they mean two completely different things. You see, self-love is filled with care for oneself. It is doing the things that you might not want to do right now, but they are the things that will, without a doubt, benefit your future, and it will work for your greater purpose, contradictory to self-comfort, which is choosing to do the things that you want to do right now, even though they might come at the cost of doing things that will be for the greater purpose. Self-love is choosing your future you, while self-comfort is only choosing the you right now. As goes for everything else, we can become addicted to self-love and self-comfort. And once we enter a rhythm of addiction, it is really hard to break up with. And I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be perfect. So I'm going to be honest with you about the fact that I have been in a circle of self-comfort lately. For me, that has been choosing to watch Netflix or doom scroll instead of doing the work that I feel like I should be doing, like reading, studying, recording, editing, etc., etc. The things that align with who I want to become. I would sit with my mic on and my notes in front of me and my phone in my hand, ready to record, but then end up scrolling for 20 minutes instead, because it was easy and accessible. And in those 20 minutes, I could have produced maybe 2 or 3 videos for TikTok and Instagram. And then that poisonous little emotion called guilt has been creeping in. But if you understand what guilt is, then it's a good sign. It's a good sign that we can feel guilty about something that didn't align with who we want to be. Because it requires us to look deeply at our behaviors that we feel bad about, and as well as what we may have done that wasn't actually at our best interest. Guilt is a good sign, even though it's uncomfortable. It shows that you care. People who have given up, they don't feel guilt, they feel nothing. I am aware of my bad habits, and that is the first step to resolving them. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad to watch Netflix or scroll for a bit, if that's what we intend to do in the first place. But if we know that we're supposed to do something else, and we still choose comfort over purpose, that's when self-comfort wins over self-love. And I know it's something that many people deal with. So I want to look at it this way and say, focus now, feel proud later. So the real question becomes, how do we break the cycle? How do we choose self-love in a world that is designed for comfort? And that's what I want to get into next. Imagine yourself in 20 years. In 20 years, I'll be 36. I haven't even lived for 20 years yet. Okay, I won't lie, 20 years might be a bit of a stretch to work with here. So 18, in 2 years I'll be 18. In 4 years I'll be 20. I have no idea what my life will look like in even 2 years. But I can work towards the life that I want to live, that I wish to live in 2 years and in 4 years. And so can you, starting from today. Understand that everything that you choose to do today is a gift to your future self, and you get to decide what is going to be wrapped in that gift. Every little action that you make can either build a habit in a good and empowering way, or a bad and life-worsening way. And that choice is yours to make. I think of it as every choice that I make today is a vote for who I want to become, if that makes sense. So when you are opening that gift, who do you imagine yourself as you are unwrapping that present and that gift? And what's inside? What's inside? There will be a thing or two in your own journey that you will have to work with. For me, one of them is getting my dopamine levels under control. And as forced and goofy as that might sound in this day and age, it is actually quite serious. And I know I'm not alone with this struggle, because the algorithm, it soothes you. And comfort rewires your dopamine, and your brain wants easy, but your soul wants something more meaningful. And the point of this is that you're not weak, you're simply just fighting biology. When you scroll and when you choose easy and when you avoid, your brain rewards you immediately. It's a dopamine loop, and it's stimulation disguised as rest, because you don't. And there's three things that I've noticed about myself when I'm in a scrolling state. 1, I don't calm down. 2, I don't recharge my batteries. And 3, I just numb myself. And then comes the avoidance. You believe the narrative that your brain tells you. It tells you that you just need a break, but you're really just running from what will make you feel proud and fulfilled. You're not stuck with what you find comfortable. Comfort is learned, and it can also be unlearned and changed. Your brain is constantly looking for what feels safe and what feels familiar. Scrolling is easy and feels safe. Low effort comfort is easy and feels safe. Avoidance is easy and feels safe. But this safe thing doesn't mean satisfying your needs. And you can teach your brain to find a new way of comfort. And here comes identity and self-image. Question: how can you outclass a version of you that you don't even believe in yet? Comfort comes from identity. Dopamine loops come from biology. But remember that your identity is chosen. Identity is shaped. It's what is carved into your bones. Self-love isn't about treating. Self-love is about becoming someone that you can trust. It is someone that the little 5-year-old version of you who still is inside of you today can look at and be proud of and say, that's who I needed. Be the person that says, I show up, I keep promises to myself, and I don't run from hard things, I persevere through them. So when you change your identity, you also change what you find comfortable. And going to the gym feels like punishment and more like alignment, and studying feels less like pressure and more like purpose. And creating and showing up becomes a part of who you are instead of consuming. When you shift your identity and when you shift your self-perception, discipline becomes less about forcing yourself and more about the character that you have decided to be. When you start showing up for yourself, your emotions don't just fall in line. They actually become louder, and that is because you take control of the car that you're in, which is you. You stop running on autopilot and stop escaping into comfort. And your emotions finally have enough time and space for you to hear them. And talking from experience, that can really be uncomfortable. It can. But that's growth if you let yourself listen to them. Emotional ownership requires some work. Not just the things that you have been putting off, but also it calls for you to understand why certain things trigger you. Why you find yourself procrastinate. Why you feel overwhelmed. And why some days feel energetic and full of power, while other days you feel like you're dragging yourself through the mud. I've realized some things about myself, some things that I've noticed. When I ignore my emotions, I fall back into comfort. I start scrolling and I start avoiding and I start overthinking. Not caused by laziness, but because I'm overwhelmed. And if you're watching this, you may feel the same. Your lack of discipline may simply just be emotions that you haven't learned to handle yet. You can't build a new identity by running from old emotions. You have to turn around and face them, even though they might be scary. Own them and understand them. Because when you take emotional responsibility, not blame, not guilt, responsibility, you retake your power. Self-love is saying, I can't control what has happened in the past, but I can control who I become Because of it, when you start seeing yourself differently, your rhythm starts changing too. Because the truth is, we don't actually break habits, we just stop feeding one rhythm and start feeding another. Everything in your life is a rhythm. Comfort has a rhythm, scrolling has a rhythm, avoidance has a rhythm, but discipline, that's also a rhythm. Most people, they think that discipline is just about willpower, and yes, it's also some part of it, but that comes from emotional momentum. It's tiny actions that build upon themselves. And the crazy thing is, your brain doesn't even need this big change, it just needs a direction to go in. Start small, then repeat, and repeat again. And then it becomes a pattern, and then your brain starts to trust that pattern, and that pattern eventually turns into your identity. And remember earlier when I talked about becoming someone you say you are? This is where that actually happens, in these rhythms. Because once you identify as I'm someone who shows up, then your daily actions start matching that identity almost automatically. Rhythms don't care if they're good or they're bad, they just repeat. So the real power is choosing the rhythm to live in, replacing the one that drains you with the one that builds you. And that's where self-love separates itself from self-comfort. I want to end this on a note that you have probably heard before. Hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. Self-love isn't soft. It's not just warm baths and acceptance of yourself. It is also that. But sometimes the most loving thing you can do towards yourself is choosing to do the thing that feels hardest. Self-comfort says, I'll deal with it later, while self-love says, I choose to do it now because future me deserves better. And if you look at any part of your life that you're not proud of right now, it is almost certain that there's an easy choice behind that. And if you look at any given moment that you feel proud of, it is most certainly because there's an underlying hard choice behind it. For me, that has been choosing discipline over comfort, and choosing focus over dopamine, and choosing to show up instead of scrolling. And I'm gonna be honest, sometimes and some days I still fail, but every time I choose that hard thing instead, my life becomes a little bit clearer and a little bit easier and a little bit more aligned with the person that I aspire to become. Because self-love isn't just about who you are right now, it is also about who you're becoming. You're choosing the version of yourself that you haven't met yet, but you trust that you'll grow into. And that's the whole work, that's the real work, and that's self-love.